welcome back to my video. So in this video, we are going to continue with our job board application with Flutter, then Node.js and Express as our backend, right? So in this video, we are going to be working on this home screen, and also we are going to be getting these categories from our server, right? So if you have not watched my previous playlist on Node.js, please make sure you watch this and make sure you understand how to develop an Express.js backend, right? For job board application. You can use the link in the description below, right? So now, without wasting much of the time, let's start building our home screen, right? So first thing that we need is we need to change this to a scaffold widget, right? So let's change this to a scaffold widget, and then for the body now, we are going to change the body to a single child score view, right? So that the body now is a single child score view, and then the child is going to be a column widget. And then we make sure that main axis alignment is equals to main axis alignment dot start, right? And the same for the cross axis alignment. Okay, so now that we are done with this, let's also make sure that we also have the children property for our different child that we are going to implement, right? So as you can see from our if I can pull our backend, right? Let me show you our application here. As you can see, with this container widget with this rounded bottom caps, right? This rounded bottom caps, right? So let's create this, right? So the first thing that we need to make sure is let's create a container, and then let's give it a height of 200, and then let's give it a width of double dot infinity, right? So we want it to fill the whole width, right? So double dot infinity, right? And then now we need to decorate our container, right? Let's decorate our container. So make sure that we decorate using the box decoration, right? And then for the let's give it a color. Then the color is going to be black. And then we also need to give it like a border radius, right? So for the border radius, we need to make sure that we are going to use border radius dot only, because we only need the bottom. We only need to make sure that the bottom is the only one that has this circular item, the bottom part, right? So we are going to use border radius dot only, and then we need the bottom. For the bottom left, we are going to make sure that we give it a radius dot circular, and then it's going to be 20. And then for the bottom right, radius dot circular, also make sure that we give it a circular radius of 20 also, right? And then in this container widget, we also need to give it like a child, right? So the child is going to be a column widget, right? It's going to be a column widget, as you can see from our mobile application here. As you can see, we have this text find your dream, and then we have this text form field right here, right? So we need to wrap it inside the column widget, right? So let's go inside our column widget, and then let's set the main axis alignment. Let's make sure that main axis alignment just goes to main axis alignment dot start, and then the cross axis alignment is also equal to cross axis alignment dot start, right? Now that we are done, we need a space from the top, so we are going to use a side box, and then we are going to give it a height of 30, right? We are going to give it a height of 30. And then after this, what we need is a text. And then the text is going to be find your dream. Find your dream job, right? And then we should make sure that we style this text. And then the font size is going to be 20. And then the font weight is going to be equal to be font weight to W700. And then we are going to give it a color of white. Okay, now that we are done, let's make sure that we also give this our text some padding, right? Because we don't want it to be stuck close to our container walls, right? Now that we are done, now let's work on our text form field, right? So basically what we simply need to do is let's create a text field, right? So let's create a text field, and then let's wrap this text field with a size box. And then we want to give it a height of 70. Let's give it a height of 70. So let's give it a height of 70, and then the width, we want you to fill the wall width. So the width, we'll give it a width of double dot infinite. Double dot infinity, and then we'll also wrap this text field with a card widget. So let's wrap it with a card widget, and then let's make sure that we can give it a color of white. And then we can also give it an elevation of 5. Okay, so we've given it an elevation of 5, and then we also need to decorate the input, right? So to decorate the input, we are going to use a decoration, and then we are going to use the input decoration, and then let's give it a padding, right? Content padding. And then the padding is going to be edge insets dot symmetric, right? So we want a vertical padding of 40, right? And then what we also need is we also need a prefix pattern. We need a prefix icon, and then the icon is going to be simply a search icon. And then the size is going to be 30. And then the color is going to be black. And then we also need a hint text, right? Also need a hint text, right? And then the hint text is going to be search by job title skills, right? And then we also need to also define the border, right? So we also need to define the border, which is going to be outline input border, right? Outline input border, and then the border radius, right? And then the border radius is going to be border radius dot circular, and then 20, and then we need to make sure that the border side is equal to none. And then we need to also work on the forecast border also. And then now we are done with now that we are done with our input decoration, right? Our text form field right here. We are done with it. So what we can basically do is let's see our emulator, right? Okay, so let me just log into the app. So as you can see, find your dream job right there, but it's protruding to our, it's covered, right? So let's go back and then let's try to give it with a size box of 30 right there. Let's change it to 40. And then we also have our card widget right there. So let's refresh our application, right? So as you can see now, we now have this text, find your dream job, and then we also have this text form field here. That's what we are going to use to search for mobile applications, right? So that's the first section of our home screen. So in the next video, we are going to be retrieving categories from our backend, right?